Yeah, actually, thank you for this opportunity. Actually, we prepared again short presentation. So here will be Alejandra. But
Alexandra, you go first.
No. We go together. Maybe I just will start and then you will unmute if it would be okay. Okay, but Rodrigo, maybe it's for you. Could I share my screen?
Yes, you can. It's done.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, Yemi, we have a short video at the beginning, and are we able to share it?
Yes, you're able to share sound.
Yeah. Before we go to our presentation, we want to show you a short video. Actually, many of you hear about Ukraine because of Russia invasion, but I guess not many of you know like history of Ukraine and why this happened now. So in this video, it helps us to go deeply. Okay, one moment. If there will be, it's solid.
So is this the video that Alexandra was talking about?
Yeah.
With the capital city of Kyiv. Following the invasion of the Golden Horde, after the mid-14th century, Ukraine has fallen under the rule of multiple neighboring countries. While Ukraine had been mostly occupied, Moscow state became a powerful enemy. However, many Ukrainians became Cossacks, formed a state on part of the territory, and built a powerful volunteer army. Soon, Ukraine found itself divided between the Russian Empire and Habsburg Austria. But the spirit of the Cossacks remained as Ukrainians fought for their independence, which they finally gained in 1918. Then, Russian Bolsheviks installed their government using military force. Ukraine became the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. To suppress Ukrainians, the new government conducted a mass confiscation of food in Ukraine, known as Holodomor. Millions of Ukrainians were starved to death. Despite remaining an oppressed colony within the Soviet Union, Ukrainian nation has survived and outlived the Union itself. And in 1991, Ukraine has declared its official independence again. In 2004, the Orange Revolution took place. Hundreds of thousands of peaceful protesters rose up against frauds caused by a pro-Russian lobby during the presidential elections. Despite some progress, political pressure within Ukraine and strong Russian influence continued as Ukraine suffered economic stagnation. Fast forward to 2013. The pro-Russian president Yanukovych refused to sign the European Association Agreement, which has led to statewide peaceful protests called Euromaidan. The government attempted to violently shut down the protests, but the nation didn't give up. The protest turned into the Revolution of Dignity. Revolution supporters were threatened, persecuted, and killed by the government. Riot police and thugs killed more than 100 protesters. President Viktor Yanukovych and his cronies escaped. An interim government was formed in Ukraine. The new presidential elections were scheduled for May 2014, followed by the parliamentary elections in the fall. In the meantime, Russia has started its special operation to annex Crimea. On February 27, Russian troops occupied the peninsula. On March 16, the new pro-Russian local government conducted an illegal referendum. 2 days later, Russia has formally incorporated Crimea as its two federal subjects. Many of the resisting Crimean Tatars and Ukrainians have been captured and imprisoned or killed. More than 100 people became political prisoners. Meanwhile, Russia has also instigated and sponsored anti-government protests in the eastern part of Ukraine. Spring of 2014, Russia-backed separatists and Russian regular troops attempted to occupy the whole southeastern Ukraine. Ukrainian armed forces fought back, stopping the Russia-backed separatists and Russian regular army from occupying the whole region. On September 5, 2014, Minsk Agreement has been signed between Ukraine, Russia, and the two separatist republics. It implemented an immediate ceasefire, which has then failed. Over 13,000 people have been killed to date. Despite Crimea annexation and the war in the Donbas region, the conflict has directly affected less than 10% of Ukraine's territory. The rest of the country remains safe and open to tourists. Today, Ukraine's IT industry and agricultural sector are booming as the country advances towards European integration.
Yeah, of course, this was before the Russian invasion in Ukraine. So now the floor to Alejandra.
Thank you, Danka, for the video. Hello, my dear UPG family. Please say, is everything okay with my sound? Can you hear me? Thank you.
Perfect.
So first of all, I'm grateful to all of you as you are here. And for us, for Ukrainians, it means that you do care. I'm Alexandra, and a month ago, I had to leave my home with 2 small backpacks, but I didn't leave my motherland. I'm staying in Ukraine and trying to fight as I can. You've just watched a brief history of Ukraine, and this video has ended in a positive way. However, it's not relevant anymore. And actually, after Dr. Wolfgang Decker's presentation, I see that I guess we have to rename our presentation to Opinion from Ukraine. And last week, I told you that we will try to answer the question about the reason for this war, and it can't be short answer. And so we collect some important facts from the history. First thing that I have to say is that Russians used to say they are descendants of Kievan Rus, which that is not true. The truth is, when Kiev was founded, only forests and swamps covered the place we call Moscow today. And Moscovia, and then Russian Empire, and then USSR, and now Russia always tried to steal our history so that they could look greater than they really were and that they really are. Secondly, Russians tried to leave Ukrainians without our language. In Russian Empire, those things like Valuyev Circular and the Ems Ukaz, you can Google it. These documents forbade to print books in Ukrainian language and to teach in Ukrainian language. In 1933, Soviet authorities started an artificial convergence of Ukrainian and Russian language traditions. They approved a new Ukrainian orthography that changed our language for 80 years, not 18, 80 years. Only a few years ago, we tried to resurrect our true Ukrainian language. Thirdly, they killed and repressed Ukrainian poets, writers, and artists, especially in 1920 and 1930, and we call it executed Renaissance in Ukraine. Fourthly, hunger. Artificial hunger created by Soviet authorities to kill Ukrainians. The most catastrophic one was in 1932-1933. The number of victims is measured in millions, not thousands, in millions. And fifthly, the USSR wanted to create a Soviet man, so-called Soviet man, which means there could be the Ukrainian or any other nation in the USSR, and there was a lot of nations in the USSR. As you may know, USSR collapsed in 1991. Since then, Russia tries so hard to resurrect the empire and to join all previously colonized territories, which became independent countries in 1991. Danka, please go to the next slide. Danka. We're waiting.
Could you see next?
No. Oh, yeah. Now we see it.
Yes.
Yes. So about Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurance, it was signed in 1994 between Ukraine, Belarus, and Kazakhstan on the one side, and Russia, USA, and UK on the other side. The most important thing that we have to know from this memorandum is this: that according to it, Ukraine, which was Danka, the slide which was the third largest nuclear weapons stockpile country, had to surrender its weapon for the guarantees of protection from Russia, USA, and UK. So today, every Ukrainian knows the cost of these so-called guarantees. They cost nothing and they mean nothing, as Russia attacked us. Russia invaded the Ukraine, and when it had to protect us. Next slide, please, Danke. Danke. Yes, thank you. So on the slide, we see the things that we already saw in video about Revolution of Dignity, and many people were killed then, and the Crimea was annexed by Russia, and some regions of Donetsk and Luhansk were occupied by Russia. So since 2014, there is a Russia's war against Ukraine. Next slide, please, Danke. On the next slide, we wanted to show you a video, but I guess we won't do it because the main general and main information is on this map. We tried to visualize Russia's military aggression since 1991, since USSR collapsed. So you see that Chechnya, Moldova, Dagestan, Georgia are countries where Russian soldiers came. And last week, our UPG sister from Georgia told us about the war in 2008, about this nightmare, and now we totally understand them. If then we watched this on TV and couldn't believe it, so now we feel the same thing that Georgia's felt that time. Next slide, Danke, please. So, as you see on the slide, while the whole world said never again about concerning World War II, Russians screamed, "We can repeat," concerning that war. And moreover, they wrote to Berlin on the aircrafts that are bombing Ukraine now. So when someone says to Ukrainians that we have to stop fighting to finish this war, or that we have to use only diplomacy, I'll tell you that it's not impossible for us, because we are not those who attacked. We try to protect ourselves. And the only conclusion from everything that I told is that if we stop fighting, if Ukrainians stop fighting, there won't be any Ukraine. I saw a few messages in chat today about peace. It was, we want peace, enforce the peace. But unfortunately, as Ukrainian, I have to say that for us, it's some kind of a point of no return, if I use right words. And for us, peace or truce means that Russia will attack us again and again, as it happened with Chechnya, until until there will be no Ukraine. So for us, for Ukrainians, only victory is an option for us, and for democracy to survive, and for us to survive as a nation. So, Nata, will you join the presentation?
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you, Danka. Thank you, Alexandra. I will continue going to with the next slide. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but I cannot see the full presentation which Danka is sharing, but I have it on my iPad, so I will saying that please go, Danka, to the next slide, and you will make it the next one. Yes. So as you can see on your screen, on the 24th of February this year, Russia started the war against Ukraine. And the picture, which is on the next slide, you see that this is, of course, it's kind of like a funny picture, but of course it's not, yes. How you can see the Russian president, how he behaves and how he want to go there where people do not wait for him and where he's like, he will not be hosted. And just to mention about the current situation, what is going now within the countries, within the world. So Danka, please go to the next slide. I would say that in Ukraine, of course, our country as independent country is demanding for immediately withdrawing the Russian troops. This is our main goal of each negotiations we have from our president and from our government, because we are the country with our sovereign territory. And every day, and I think it's have been during the month, 1 month, we are asking NATO to close the sky. And of course, we understand that this is very like kind of sensitive topic. Yes, we still don't have the sky closed, but we are signing the petition. We're asking the world to help and to cover our sky, to start to stop bombing our cities. And regarding the world, as you can see, the world is providing sanctions to Russia. Yes, mostly it's economical sanctions, which are coming from European Union, from some Asian countries, from the US, and Ukraine is pushing them hard to make the sanctions more and more. And we have the information that now more like 200 businesses, 200 companies, they refuse to cooperate with Russia, and they will stop their businesses within this country. But of course, it needs some time to be effective with it, yes. And of course, we feel a great support, and we receive great aid to Ukraine, humanitarian aid and some military aid from the countries which support us so much. And meanwhile, in Russia, this country still is calling this war as a special operation, and which is not the truth, of course, this is false. And this special operation explains that this kind of has a name to avoid the war, which is not right as well. And of course, they declare their rights to fight only with neo-Nazi who threats the Russian-speaking Ukrainians within our country. But of course, as you can see from the previous speakers, yes, and from our previous presentation from the last week, there are like no neo-Nazi in Ukraine. It's also not truth, it's all false. And Danka, please go to the next slide. Here you can see just shortly how world is helping us, what companies is leaving Russia, leaving the country, yes, how European country and even the US, how they close their airlines, yes, for Russians, so they cannot travel, they cannot go anywhere, and all other famous companies, as you're aware, or like Netflix, Apple, McDonald's, H&M, Nike, BMW, like there are many of them, but I just mentioned like the most popular, yes, how they refuse cooperate with the country. And of course, Visa and MasterCard, they also suspend operations, because we also understand that some money operations, yes, it's also need to be stopped. I mean, like it's preventive measures to stop this war. So go, Danka, please go to the next slide. Here you can see two pictures, and maybe for all of you, like you just don't understand what it is, but I will explain. There are numbers and there are pictures on the slide. As of now, due to the official information of Ukrainian government, 127 children has been killed during the beginning of the war. But of course, we understand that the number could be better, and it can be better even as of today, because not all child, unfortunately, can be calculated properly and just right immediately, yes. And also 167 children wounded. They are in hospitals, or even what it could be worse, they are just in their homes or maybe in their root cellars, I mean, in the bomb shelters, they can be wounded, but they could be in that places where they cannot receive any medical help. And you can see on the left pictures, there are empty child prams, 109 empty child prams, as a symbol of the children which were killed in this country. This is the picture from Lviv. So Lviv is a city in Ukraine, in the western part of Ukraine, that made this kind of an auction, and they made a photo of it. And on the right picture, you can see the cover page of Time. This is this magazine, how the Ukrainian soldier is helping Ukrainian woman and her child, evacuating them from Bucha. And as you might know, this is Bucha, Irpin, and Stoyanka, and other cities in Kiev region. On the north part is the most dangerous part of the region now, and they are fighting, and they are fighting so hard. And this is really good when soldiers can help civilians to evacuate from this territory. And please, Danka, go to the next slide. As some of you might remember, for those who attended the previous session, yes, when we had our session, in those hours, the drama theater in Mariupol was bombed and was attacked with a bomb, yes. And in this drama theater in Mariupol, they had a bomb shelter in the basement where children were hiding. At what you can see on the picture, this is this theater, how it looks like from the airplane, yes, this is the picture. And what you can see in these circles, in this yellow circles, that it was mentioned that there are children, yes, and it was even written in Russian. So for asking not to bomb these assets, yes, because the children are there. But unfortunately, you know what happened? The theater has been bombed, and thanks God, some people could be alive and they saved, but some of that not, of course. And what is important to mention that this is the same, the same war behavior, yeah, the same situation as Russia behaved in Syria when they bombed hospitals and some kindergartens and schools for the purpose. So they knew that civilians were hiding there, then kids were there, and they did it for purpose. So this is kind of their handwriting of war. And Danka, please go to my last slide, but not the least one. I would like you to see the map of Ukraine and how from what parts of neighborhood countries, from Russia, from Belarus, and from occupied Crimea, the planes with the bombs are coming from and attacking cities of Ukraine. And that's why you can understand that not only the eastern part, yes, is in danger, or Kiev is the capital, now is the western part in danger, even the central part of Ukraine in danger, and there is no more safe place in Ukraine as of now. So thank you so much, and Danka, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I will continue. It's only a few sliders. Sort of that. Why we made this presentation and why we want to say you that why it's so important, why we all in the same boat now. First of all, there is a nuclear danger. I guess many of you know that Russia has the largest amount of nuclear warheads. But have you know that it's 5,977 nuclear warheads? Moreover, Russia occupied 2 nuclear power plants. I guess you know about Chernobyl power plant, but there is another one also, Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And the thing is that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is the most powerful in Europe. And it's so pretty. Another thing, which is like, we want to say you, it's a democracy values, why it's so also important. Now Ukraine is a real shield that protect world from Russia. And why we say it, now we can see that that Russia invasion touch sustainable development goals. And not only in Ukraine, but also abroad. For example, Ukrainians, refugees, they come to Europe, they also need a shelter, they also need a food, and for European countries, it's like also a challenge to host these our refugees. And another example is I think European countries, they feel like danger because of Russia invasion, and they reduce their they increase their budget for some military stuff, for some army. And the thing is that they, in that case, they reduce their budgets for another, for example, for education, for culture. And it's like a real threat that that what is happening in Ukraine now, that it's touch whole world. And our next slide, maybe most of you know of it, but we want just to remind how you can help Ukraine. There is like donation. You could go to click on this link and donate. But another thing is not to be silent in your social media. Share information what is happening in Ukraine. Sign the petition. I guess girls mentioned that for us, for Ukrainians, it's so important to close the sky. Like, am I your local politicals and ask them to press NATO to close the sky? Also join rallies, and we ask not only where you live, just join rallies in your country to support Ukraine, report war propaganda from Russian media. And another thing is, like you can see here, boycott Russian goods. Just when you see this like barcode 460, just please do not buy it. Do not buy this product. If you buy it, you really support war in Ukraine. And we also have special bonus. In previous meetings, some of our participants, I guess, mentioned how else you can help Ukraine. So we prepared some Google form. You can apply and become a volunteer, and our team will connect with you, and then you do your steps to help Ukraine to get a victory. It's like all from me and from our team, from our presentation. If you have any questions, welcome.